Hey guys, how's it going? It's Brian. I recently was having a conversation with a friend of mine about splitting up your zones, specifically with your CRM. We're both with Jobatory, so that's the reference that I'm going to use here. But um, as a business owner doing a service industry, how do you separate your routes? How do you make sure you're not driving 40 miles in between different customers? Things like that. How to separate every week so everything makes sense, right? So in Jobatory and every other CRM that I know of, I think they all do this. Um, you can assign certain parts of your service area to certain weeks. So as a new business owner, maybe you have one piece of equipment. It's vital that you're not driving crazy distances, right? So like this is my service area, my town, my city, I guess, wherever I live. Anyway, I live here. I store my equipment somewhere over here. And as you can see, I mean, we serve all the way into Tempe, all of this area here, all the way up north over the 202 freeway, all of Apache Junction, Gold Canyon over here, all of this area down here, all the way down south down here by Anthem, and then all of this area over here. So basically, east of the I-10, this way, is all us in this Tempe area. Parts of I don't do all of Tempe, just certain parts of it. But then once we hit the 101, like all of this, we serve all of this. But that's not how we originally started. So my original, which was still way too big, when I started the business in 2017, we were not going north of the US 60, and we started at east of the 10 still, but quickly discovered that it was too far to go. So we cut our lines at the 101 freeway here, and then we were not going past Copper Basin right here. So down at Anthem, I wasn't serving this area. I wasn't serving Apache Junction, Mesa, any of this, or Gold Canyon over here. So it was this small little box, basically, right here. And what I did is I split that into 4 quadrants, basically. So I'll just draw a line. Let me see if I can make it thicker. There we go. So what I did is basically drew a line. Figure out where I am here. I basically drew a line like this. Well, here, let me outline our service area. So we were basically doing all of this down to here, and then up this way. Okay, so that was our service area. And what I did was I basically cut the service area. Well, it wasn't really that bad. Probably like this. And so, this was like, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I want to say, I kind of did. It didn't make a lot of sense, sort of. But basically, I did like 1, 2, 3, and 4 were my zones, right? And the reason I broke it this way, and at the time I was storing my equipment like over here, right? So the reason I did that is week 1 we're serving this area down here, and then anytime those people needed to reschedule or their cans weren't out or whatever, and we needed to reschedule them, I could put them on week 3. So they would still have a little bit of a wait, but then, week 3 we're still kind of close to that territory, and I can move them, no big deal. And then the same up here. Week 2, if somebody had to reschedule, I could put them on week 4. If week 4 had to reschedule, I could put them on week 2. And there was really just a 2-week separation for any kind of rescheduling issues that we were dealing with. And it worked out fine. All I had was a SB1 trailer. So, the service area was still way too big for what we were trying to do. I honestly, looking back, probably should have only served half of this size. But we made it work, and it worked out fine. Now, the frustration here, though, is say somebody lives in week 1, signed up for the service after we were done in week 1, let's say we're in week 2 now, they would have to wait 3 weeks to get put on the schedule in week 1 because you want to keep your routes really dense, right? Like you don't want to have to drive from zone 2 to zone 1 to serve a new customer. So the way that I had the software set up, and I was using Jobber back then, was if a customer signed up for service outside of their service week, it would still schedule them for their appointed service week. And then the customer might have to wait 2 or 3 weeks to get service. And surprisingly enough, people were still signing up for it. But I always wondered, like, how many customers am I losing because they go through the checkout process and see that they're going to be receiving service in 3 weeks, that they're just going to abandon the checkout and go find another company that does service their area tomorrow, right? Because most people, when they sign up for this service, as you probably know, today was their trash day. They just now realized their can is freaking horrible, has maggots or whatever, and they need it cleaned as soon as possible. They don't need it cleaned in 3 weeks. They want it done tomorrow or today even. So while this model worked for years, the minute that I got another rig, I changed all of this. And so the strategy, and we also grew into our service area. So let me back up a little bit, just explain some more things. So once I got my second machine, we grew the service area to now include, oh, you know what? Yeah, that's fine, whatever. So Gold Canyon. Why is my lines not working? Hang on. Now it's trying to draw a straight line. Sorry, I'm not very good with paint. Maybe a brush. There you go. Okay. So we grew to cover all of Mesa, Apache Junction. Still kind of cut this off except for a few small neighborhoods. Went all the way to the I-10, down the 202, down this way, and then serve all the way down into Anthem, which is a big growing area with lots of new builds. Okay, so this is our current service area now. And when we got the second rig, which was an Isuzu, now I had the Isuzu in the trailer, and so we can be in different parts of town at the same time with 2 machines. So we still kept that separation of zones for a little while until I realized, like, wait a second, we can serve new customers and might not lose, the new customer sign up because they have to wait 3 weeks if we just started offering the same thing. So we ended up, I moved all of my zones to serve every week. Then we did this a few years ago when I moved into Jobatory. And the cool thing with that is now anytime somebody signs up for service, we're coming ASAP. If their trash day is Wednesday, we're coming that following day, Thursday. If they signed up on Saturday and their trash day is Wednesday, we're coming that following Thursday of the following week. So they don't have to wait for us. We just absolutely come the day after their next collection day, which people really love that. It's working out really well. But going back to the conversation I was having with a friend of mine who serves a different area than me in Arizona, he stores his equipment. I'll just use this map as an example still, but let's just say stores his equipment here, right? And if you're looking at your maps on where you're at, this applies to you too. So when you're centralized in an area, and I mean you're talking, this is like 10 miles in any direction to get to the edges here. So what I told him, I said, look, why don't you draw yourself like a 10-mile square around your storage area, wherever you store your equipment, right? And then cut this into your quadrants like that. And you can still do, 1, 2, 3, 4 if you want to. And this would be like, again, this is when you have like multiple rigs. So you can keep your routes dense, right? You're only going to serve this area week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. And then you can start growing out. So like this area, right, can also still be 4 because you're close to it. This area can also be 3 because you're going to be in this area, right? This area over here, Gold Canyon, all of this can still be 2. So now you're just kind of growing, going a little bit further. You know, this area here can still be 1. And then when you get these farther out, like outliers, like Gold Canyon, for example, is a really, really long distance for me. This is where you can start making decisions, and Anthem down here, really far, right? So let's say like week 1, you don't have a whole lot of customers here versus week 2. You got, you know, not as many in 1. So you could make this outlier only week 1. So like what I've done for my business is all of this is open to every week. But when you're trying to expand into areas like your furthest out areas, I guess the point I'm trying to make is only assign it to 1 week. So while all of this, eventually when you get more rigs, could just turn into every week, you still keep your outliers. So like this one's really far, I would only assign that to week 1 only. So anybody that signs up here, they're still going to have that 2 or 3 week wait time, 2 or 3 week wait time possibly, depending on when they sign up. But it only makes sense to drive out there once a month. Same with Gold Canyon. You could still make this a 2, but only 2. So all of these eventually, when you have more machines, become every week, right? And then Anthem down here, same thing. Only week 3, not all the weeks. So at this point with my business, this whole area, let me change the color. I'm confusing myself too now. So let's just say this whole area right here is every week, right? Because I have 2 rigs, I'm about to have 3 rigs. We can cover this every single week with 3 machines, no problem. And then the outliers here, this is only on week 1. I think I have even like, there's a small neighborhood here and a small neighborhood here. Those would also be week 1, right? And then Gold Canyon is week 2, for example. We're only driving out there on the 2nd week of the month. And so anybody that signs up in Gold Canyon, they're only going to see us come out there once a month. And I can keep that area really, really dense because that's the only time we're out there. Same with Anthem, only on week 3. And most of the time people don't complain. You know, the software spits out, here's your date. If you want to sign up, great. If you don't, no big deal. And sometimes it lands on the right week. You know, if they're signing up on Wednesday and down here, for example, their trash day is Thursday and we can come out Friday, they're going to sign up. No big deal. Anyway, I know there's a lot of lines here, maybe a little bit confusing. I hope my thought process came across as I wanted it to. If the video is terrible, please let me know because I'll just take it down and re-record it. But this is kind of my process. You know, as a new business, you have to keep your weeks separated so you're not wasting a lot of fuel and payroll. But as the business grows and you get more rigs, it makes more sense to open those weeks up and, you know, possibly do 2 all the time or 3 all the time or 4 all the time every week, no matter what. And then just keep your outliers on the different weeks. So it makes it a little bit easier. And then you can still control your routes. Oh, and then one last final thought. I also, when I get a new sign up, like say I had somebody sign up over here in Mesa and we clean their can right away, but our normal route is week 1. After we do their first cleaning, I will reschedule them to be on a week where we're up here anyway for the 1. So I'm every month at the end of the month, like the last day of the month, I go in and I reschedule all of my customers for the following week that are these weird outliers or new customers and put them on the right week. So keep that in mind too. But I'm out of time on this video, so I hope this helps you. And if you have any questions, shoot them my way. Thanks. Bye.